Hi and welcome back to your mat. My name is Anna, the Holy Banana, the Holy Yogi, and today I am bringing you another video in our Let's Workshop It series. So today we're going to workshop our Chaturanga. This is something that in group classes, I wish I had more time to focus on individually with everyone because we all have little areas that we could improve in as we move through our Chaturanga, including myself. So today we're going to break it down and talk about two ways that we can approach our Chaturanga, modified or full. And you'll often hear an instructor in a yoga class say, take your Chaturanga and meet in a down dog. But I know for myself and for a lot of people beginning their yoga practice or even experienced practitioners, looking for a little bit more direction sometimes. What does that really mean? And we're going to talk about that today. So what we're going to do is get started in a plank. So our Chaturanga typically starts from a plank, very traditionally. So you'll start in your plank, and we're going to talk about modified first. So you notice in my plank, my hips are stacked between the shoulders and the heels. Okay, and for modified, this is one version of modified. This is the way that I like to teach modified. You lower your knees. Notice my hips don't push back. They stay in the plank with just my knees dropped. So in the first movement of a modified Chaturanga, we lower the knees. We lower all the way down to the tummy, but an important part of this step is the elbows brush the sides instead of coming out to the side. We lower all the way down to our tummy, and then we inhale baby cobra, so toes untucked. We squeeze the shoulders back, elbows are still tucked to the side. Notice I'm not craning my neck forward. I'm not looking forward. I am looking about 6-8 inches in front of my mat. My neck is nice and in line with my spine. Tops of the feet are pressing into the floor. This is my baby cobra. Hands are doing very little work and elbows are crunched into the side. Okay, so this is baby cobra, and then we're going to come down, back to our tummy, release everything, push into the hands, through our table, tuck the toes, hips go back and up, down dog. Okay, so that's one version of modified, and I guess I'll talk about a second version in a moment here, just so that you have your options that you can move through when someone says, move through your Chaturanga. So let's come back into our plank. We'll take this one more time. Lower those knees, lower all the way down. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale down, press it back, table, and down dog. So that is a very common modified approach to your Chaturanga. This is a really great place to begin with your Chaturanga. It's a really great place to start on your mat. If you're just warming up into it, even if you have a full Chaturanga, you're experienced in your Chaturangas and you can practice a full where you hover and come to up dog, and then you come to down dog. Even if you have that in your practice, I often use the modified at my 5:45 a.m. power yoga class. At 5:45 a.m. when we're first warming into our body, and by 6 a.m. we're doing full Chaturanga. Sometimes our body just needs that slow progress into movement. These Chaturangas are often also used as periods to a flow, finishing that sentence or that statement of movement. Often it's used as a rinse out or a section between that kind of guides us to the next flow. So these are very pivotal in our practice, and we want to make sure that we know what works in our body so that when it comes time for our Chaturanga, we know how to use it. Now, before I get into the second modified version, another thing that Chaturangas are often used for is building heat. So if you go to a power yoga class or a strong vinyasa or even just a hatha vinyasa class, you're going to be experiencing Chaturangas frequently, and you might hear the instructor say, take a double Chaturanga or a three-legged Chaturanga. That is very possible to hear, and that is the instructor offering you to create more heat in your body. So oftentimes in class, I'll say, take another Chaturanga if you would like, or leave it out and skip it, right, coming to a down dog. So if you're in your plank and you hear, let's come straight to a down dog, or skipping that Chaturanga and maybe you don't need any more heat. So that is an absolute possibility for you as an instructor to use Chaturanga. So we have the modified. You can absolutely skip Chaturanga and go from plank to down dog if you're not feeling like you need extra heat or that extra movement on your mat. Here's another variation of a modified Chaturanga that you can take. So you're in your plank, and it starts very similarly. You lower those knees, but instead you lower the chest and chin down. The butt stays up in the air, and the elbows, notice they did not come out. They're still brushing my side. Okay? From there, tailbone, vertebrae by vertebrae, rolls through my spine into my baby cobra, and exhale down. Press it back. Table and down dog. So that's another modified version if you don't want to take the full. And that one gets a little bit more into the movement in the spine. Although it's challenging at first, that mind-body connection of the spine is important. So let's come down into our plank again, and let's practice this second modified version. In your plank, you'll lower your knees. Keep that weight forward. We want the elbows to stay as stacked over the wrists as we can. Lower chin to chest, or chin and chest to the floor. Elbows are brushing the sides. And then ripple vertebrae by vertebrae into our baby cobra. And come down, press it back. Table and down dog. Okay, and feel free to pause the video as we keep moving through these to practice that. Replay it, go back 10 seconds and have me repeat doing that so you can watch it again. So those are our modified or lower energy versions of Chaturanga. The skipping the Chaturanga from plank to straight to down dog. The knees bent all the way down like a flat board, baby cobra, and then pressing it back through table and down dog. Or you can take kind of like a worm version where you're taking that roll through the spine. From knees down, you bring the chest and chin down, and then vertebrae by vertebrae roll into your baby cobra and back to table and down dog. So those are the modified versions. Now we're going to talk about the full version, and I'm actually going to offer you an exercise that you can use in order to strengthen this if this is something that you're working on. So, full Chaturanga. Let's get into it. You're in your plank. Belly button to spine. Nice and strong. Now, it's really important that those elbows stay stacked over the wrists, especially in this one because they're holding weight. As we bend into the elbows, they're holding our weight. We're not actually touching down, so we don't want to be dumping weight into those joints without proper alignment. So first thing here is we're going to shift our weight forward. Notice that came from my feet. I'm pushing my heels forward, and then I'm bending at my elbows so that they come 90 degrees. Shoulders are hovering, and then from there I push up into an up dog, and come back to a down dog. So you'll notice in up dog, my hips are lifted. My feet are top down, and my chest is all the way up. I'm looking forward. So let's take that again. Let's ripple forward into our plank. First thing, shift that weight forward, bend into the elbows, flip the feet into your up dog. Notice here I'm opening my shoulders, opening my chest. My quads are activated here. And then I'm pushing up and back to my down dog. So that would be your full Chaturanga. With the hovering at 90 with the elbows. Elbows, notice again, are tucked into the side. If they're out here, you're just putting a lot of strain on the joints. They're not super stacked and aligned. So their elbows are stacked right against your sides, and then you're pushing up into your up dog and coming back to your down dog. Now, before we wrap up here, I'm going to give you an exercise that you can use for strengthening this. Maybe you can't hover and push up without dropping those knees down, and that's okay, but let's practice this exercise. They're called hover-ups. They're in my ebook guide, Holy Sun Strength, where I kind of break down the sun salutations and give you strength exercises to strengthen your sun salutation movements. And this is one of those movements that I've included in there. I'll link that PDF ebook in the description here, but let's move into this exercise. I find that it really builds strength with repetition over time. So we're in our plank, same start, and we're going to start with the shift of the weight and hover down to 90 degrees, okay? But then you're dropping those knees down and pushing up and lifting to plank. So we're taking a modified version of that push-up. So shift your weight forward, bend at the elbows, brushing the sides, lower knees, and push up. Okay, let's take 3 more together. Lift those knees into plank, shift forward, hover down, drop the knees, push up, keeping that body in a plank. Notice I'm not pushing my hips back when I push up. Let's take it again. Shift forward, hover down, lower the knees, push straight up, lift, hover or shift that weight forward, hover, lower down, and press up, and come to your plank. Now, even that is a little challenging, and if you want to build strength for your full chaturanga, push-ups are the way to go. If you struggle with push-ups, and you're just stuck in this motion, where you're at the top, maybe half of your push-up, I encourage you to practice all the way down and all the way up. Even if it looks like a worm to start, you're going to build strength in that full range of motion over time. So what that would look like is we want to maintain that same stability with the arms brushing the sides. So we're in our plank, lower all the way down, and then from here, push all the way up. Okay, and maybe you don't look so straight as a board as you push up. Maybe you hover down, and then it looks more like this to come up. And you lower down, and you push up like this. Okay, even though they're not, quote, perfect push-ups, we're not flat as a board when we push up, that range of motion that you're practicing in your shoulders is greater than if we stay a board and we just practice the top 2 to 3 inches of that push-up. So that is going to help build strength in that full range of motion of coming all the way down and pushing all the way up. So I hope that this video was helpful in workshopping your chaturanga. Find the version that feels best for you. Maybe they all feel good and you use them at different times in your practice, throughout the week, throughout different classes that you go to, depending on the energy that you're bringing with you on your mat. But I really hope that it was helpful. And I encourage you to keep at this, where you keep practicing the fundamentals of your practice so that you feel like that foundation is there for you wherever you go with your practice. Thank you so much for practicing with me. If you enjoyed this video, you can check out all of the other videos in the Let's Workshop It series in my online yoga library membership. The link is in the description here. Thank you for practicing with me. I'll see you on the mat again soon. Namaste.